You ever wonder what the real difference is between someone who makes a ton of money and someone who's truly wealthy? Because believe it or not, they aren't the same thing. Today, we're going to break down that exact question by looking at the finances of two very different people. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's really dive into this because it's about so much more than just a big paycheck. Earning a lot and being wealthy are two totally different ballgames, and once you get that difference, well, that's the key to everything. So, to make this super clear, let's just imagine for a second that money is water. For most of us, our yearly income fills up a regular-sized bucket. But for a superstar like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, we are talking about a giant swimming pool. It's the same water, just a completely different scale. So let's start right at the beginning. How does all this money, or, water, actually pour into these two containers that are so wildly different in size? Let's talk about our regular person. This could be a teacher, a nurse, maybe an office worker, somebody bringing in a pretty solid salary. We'll say about $100,000 a year, usually coming from one steady paycheck. Now, look at this. The Rock pulls in roughly $100 million a year. That is 1,000 times more than our regular person. See, that swimming pool analogy is really starting to make sense now, isn't it? And here is a huge, huge difference. His money doesn't just come from one place. It's not a single faucet. It's more like a whole network of fire hoses. He's getting 20 to 50 million bucks for a single movie. But then there's his crazy popular Teremana Tequila, ad deals, WWE. The list goes on. And this diversification, it's everything. If one faucet slows down a bit, the others just keep that pool filling right up. And this right here just perfectly illustrates the power of those other projects. His Teremana Tequila brand, which is basically his side hustle, is now valued at a mind-blowing $3.5 billion. That's billion with a B. Just insane. You know what's really amazing about all this, though, is where he came from. This entire empire was built from pretty much nothing. He's famously said he had just $7 to his name at one point. It's just an incredible story of growth. Okay, so the buckets are filling up, but before anybody can start spending that money, a big scoop gets taken out for taxes. Let's see how that all plays out. For our person making $100,000, about $25,000 to $30,000, or around 30%, goes straight to federal, state, and other taxes. That leaves them with about $70,000 to actually live on for the entire year. Now, this might surprise you. The Rock, even though he's in the highest tax bracket you could imagine, also pays a pretty similar percentage, somewhere around 20 to 35%. But the crucial difference is the sheer amount of money we're talking about. 30% of $100 million is about $25 to $40 million in taxes. Just an unbelievable figure. So you might be asking, how is his tax rate not way, way higher? Well, the answer comes down to things like business deductions. See, because he operates as a business himself, a lot of his huge expenses, like that private jet he needs for work travel or his security team, can be subtracted from his income. It's a system designed to encourage people to start and grow businesses. All right, so after the government's taken its share, it's time to spend. Let's take a look at where the money actually goes, where those drains are for both of our subjects. This chart really says it all. For a regular person, a massive chunk of their take-home pay, on average about $78,000, just goes to, living. Housing, food, getting around. The Rock, on the other hand, spends millions, but as we're about to see, it's actually a tiny fraction of his income. In fact, just to put that into perspective, the average US family spends a full third of their money, 33%, just on their house. For most people, that is the single biggest expense, period. Okay, now for the really fun part. Let's take a little peek at The Rock's shopping list, and as you can probably guess, it's a little bit different from yours and mine. Let's start with his house. Now, this isn't the price of all his houses. Nope, this is the price of just one of his mansions, his absolutely stunning home in Beverly Hills. What about his car? Well, this is what his Ferrari LaFerrari cost, and that's just one car in a collection that's worth over $8 million. And how does he get around? Well, that'll be $65 million. Thank you very much. That's the price tag for his Gulfstream private jet. Oh, and he actually has two of them. Now this slide, this is what's really fascinating because it puts everything side by side. You can just see the massive difference in scale for, well, everything, from a family vacation to just fun money. But the most important row on this whole chart is that last one, savings. This is where the story really takes a turn, and it's the absolute key to understanding that difference between being rich and being truly wealthy. So, the most important part of this whole thing is what happens to the money that's left over after all that spending. This is the part that separates people who just have a high income from those who are truly wealthy. And this is the secret sauce. It's really a simple 4-step recipe. You earn money, you spend less than you earn, and that's the most important part of all. Then you invest the rest, and that invested money, it starts making new money for you all on its own. This is how you build wealth. So while our regular person is doing an awesome job putting aside maybe $10,000 or $20,000 into a 401k or a savings account, The Rock is pouring tens of millions of dollars back into his businesses, into real estate and other investments. And this is the result. This is how his personal net worth, that's everything he owns minus what he owes, has exploded to $800 million. It's not just from the movie paychecks, it's because his money is constantly working for him, like planting seeds that grow into these giant money trees. Okay, so let's wrap all this up. After looking at all these incredible numbers, what's the one big idea you should walk away with? The big difference is right here on the screen. Having a high income, being rich, often just means you're spending most of what you earn to live your life. But wealth is having enough money left over to invest so that your money starts working for you. It's about owning assets that generate their own income. You see, it's not really about having a swimming pool full of cash. The principle is exactly the same no matter the scale. Building wealth is a mindset, and it just goes to show you that even with a small bucket, making smart choices about what you do with what's left over, that is the first step to making it bigger. Thanks so much for watching.